Last non-technical talk. It's called Clort Everything, and the word clort might make some of you uncomfortable or feel awkward, and I'm going to try to normalize it so that we all understand why clorting is a really good thing and everything should be clorted. So I learned a lot of things taking art history in high school that surprised me about art, especially because the main artistic medium in my life has been video games. And I learned like there are some high-profile incidents where like indie studios get ripped off by other studios. Like here's an example of Ridiculous Fishing by the studio Vlambeer. It's this game where you fish up fish and then you shoot them with guns and earn money. And because they were public about the game they were making, another company like stole their idea, made it first, and released it, and made a bunch of money, and almost like took them out of business. So there's this idea in my head that cloning a game or copying anyone else's work is a very dishonorable thing that like is not real design and not a valuable thing. And during my time at RC, I didn't change my mind about this, but I found out that there's another kind of cloning that is very useful and very, I think, amazing, and that's what I call clorting, which is when you clone a game in the name of porting it to new consoles or to make it more accessible to modern gaming platforms. And also, to tie it back to art history, there are some of the most famous statues and works of art that we know about in history are completely destroyed, and no art historian has ever seen them. The only way they survived was by being ripped off by other artists and mass-produced in lesser form to be sold to people who didn't care about authenticity. So that's where I get this theme. So let's talk about XCOM UFO Defense. This game is a classic. It's available on Steam thanks to the emulator DOSBox. You shoot down UFOs, and then you get into like these tactical fights with aliens. You take their technology and try to fight back. It's really great. This is a screenshot of the original game where you can really see like nothing in that little window because it was made for computers whose screens were like that big. And so when you play it in DOSBox, like you can't see anything, like it's a really shitty experience. This is the experience I had trying to buy the game legally and then play it. And then I found this project called OpenXCOM, which it lives in a legal like gray area that they basically cloned the entire engine of the original XCOM UFO Defense from scratch in C++ on an open source library called SDL, and it's legal. It's pretty legal. The reason for that is that they didn't steal any of the assets from XCOM, and precedents in the courts have said that you can't copyright game mechanics. You can only copyright things like art and actual content. So what they did is they made like an entire runtime that if you own a legal copy of XCOM, drag those files into a folder and run OpenXCOM, you can play XCOM. But you have support for modern resolutions. You can like resize the screen. You can like see more stuff and like actually play it without wanting to die. You'll still probably want to die because this game's all about how the aliens win. You lose all the time and people get killed. You have to listen to them screaming. But it's a great experience, and if it weren't preserved in the form of this open source tool that runs on Linux without crashing, I would never have played it, and it's been an inspiration to the games that I'm going to make going forward. So I've become a really big believer in clorting old games. And just today, in preparing for this talk, I found this website that's a list of like all open source game clones that there are out there. It might not load before my time runs out, but there are clorts of like so many games. It's amazing, including like Baldur's Gate, Diablo, there's a clone called Freeablo. Yeah, I'm into it, so cool.